Hello, friends. My name is Steve, and we are here today to discuss the film Come True. It is streaming on Hulu, and today I will be talking about it with Mr. Chad Lutzke. Chad, thank you for joining me today.
Dude, thanks for having me, man.
Of
Should be fun.
course, you'd you when whenever someone says, "Well, I'll come by anytime," I was like, "You don't tell me that because I'll be bothering you."
Oh, dude,
So,
I will. If somebody wants to talk about movies or music or books, especially movies or music, yeah, I'm there.
okay, all right. Well, you asked for it.
Yeah.
Don't say I didn't warn you. But, this was a movie that you had recommended, and I hadn't even heard about it
Mhm.
before, you had mentioned it. So what about this movie made you, choose it for, to discuss?
I hadn't heard of it either. It's just kind of one of those hidden gems, and I watched it, and I love ambiguous endings. I love stuff that I have to think about that I can come up with my own theories if needed. I usually like them a little bit more like here are your hints. Come up with your own conclusion. You're probably going to be right about your conclusion. This does not do that really. There's a
No,
lot.
no.
There's a lot to go over, and I think I may have heard about it from Final Guys, and this is before I
Mm,
was a regular on Final Guys, and I was just like a guest on there often. And I think they had done it, but I didn't pay attention to the episode that week, and I didn't listen to them talk about it. I think I just recognized the poster, and then I was like, oh, I'll check this out. And then immediately in the first, you know, couple minutes, I just knew that this was a movie that I was probably going to enjoy. It just had that non-Hollywood indie feel to it.
yeah, I was really impressed with the aesthetic,
Hmm.
with kind of the feel and the tone that they have this, like, muted tone throughout the movie,
Yeah,
but they also have really vivid colors, like, muted like, there's a lot of blues and purples, like, the doctors in the hospital have purple, there's greens, there's different colors for different, sets of characters.
yeah, yeah.
I was pretty impressed.
Now, I used to have a couple years ago. I had a podcast called Paleo Cheese Podcast with a friend of mine, and the gimmick of that whole podcast was, well, some of the episodes we would just talk about whatever and have strange topics. One of us would bring a topic, and then we would talk about it for an
Mm,
hour, hour and a half, or something. But most of the time, we would have author friends come on, or just people that weren't necessarily friends, but maybe acquaintances of mine or something, and we'd have them come on there and we would talk about movies, but then ahead of time they would choose a movie that we would talk about.
mm,
So we had like Joe Lansdale on there, and he wanted to talk about Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, and which is his favorite movie. And Josh Malerman, he had us choose a movie, so I picked a foreign film that I love called November, and
mm.
then that most people haven't heard about. And then so it was cool to talk about, uh, other stuff, and then in the second half we would dive into this thing. Some of the time, sometimes the episodes were hour and a half, but if you get someone like Lansdale or Mallerman, it's like a 4 hour episode that we have to
Wow.
divide into two. So those guys love to talk, and I love to listen. So, um, but on the last episode, um, right before I'd watched this, and so for the last episode, we got the writer and director of Come True to come on,
Oh, cool.
and this was a couple years ago. I still have not, because we had stopped the podcast. We both got super busy, dude. I still haven't edited that and posted that episode.
Oh, wow.
So, um, his name is Anthony Scott Burns. Very cool guy. Um, he I learned a lot and I learned nothing because he wasn't about to tell us everything, so there was still a lot of questions that I had. So I was going to bring that to the conversation with some of the things that I did know, like
Mm,
he didn't come out and say something. He might give us a hint about something, but overall he liked the idea of not telling everybody what happened because what was going on, or what things meant, because he liked the idea of a collective consciousness, and that
Hmm.
potentially not, uh, like, no theory is wrong, kind of thing.
Do you, in talking to him, do you feel like he had his own theory, that, or that he would just never divulge
Yes,
it?
but he says it in a weird way. He says, "I like to think that this means this." So,
That's pretty cool.
yeah, but, yeah, that was cool, and to refresh myself, I listened to that podcast today, um, just so I could remember, and there is one part in the episode, it's a video one, so I tried to read his lips, but he says something, and I'll get to it later, but he says something that kind of blows my mind, and I said, "Dude, you're blowing my mind. If you're trying to tell me that this means this," he's like, "That's not what I'm saying, or that's not what I'm trying to tell you. What I'm trying to tell you is," and then me and my co-host talk over him,
Mm.
so I can't hear what he says. So I had to play it back like 20 times. I think I know what he says, but I wish I would have been like, "Wait, hold on. What'd you just say?" So, but I'll bring it up later, and then I'll tell you what I think he said. All I'm missing is one word, but I think
Oh.
I'm almost positive I know what he said. But and it is about the very end.
Oh, okay. So, and this is full spoilers, so anyone who hasn't seen it,
Yeah.
you've been warned. Um, I'm not really sure you can spoil this one, I guess. I mean, you would spoil the experience of it, but
Well, it's hard to talk about without spoiling. It really. I mean,
yeah. The,
there's so much that happens that as the movie goes, particularly like the last third, that you would have never guessed would happen, you know, as you're watching it turns into a different type of movie. And I know that at one point he said, and when we had talked to him, he said that he had written this a long time ago, always wanted to make it into a movie, and started at one point with Hollywood, but then they were turning it into this is a paralysis monster movie. This is a Hollywood, just a straightforward thing. And
mhm.
he's like, "Nah, I'm not doing this."
That was actually one of my theories when when the creatures appeared on the room and they can see them on the screens. I thought, okay, they're the sleep paralysis that they're
Mhm.
experiencing. But yeah, I'm glad that wasn't it, because it seems a little too easy. But I was impressed with what they did with the budget they had, because it seems like they were lower budget, but they did a lot with a little bit. And
Yeah.
I thought all the performances were great too.
Yeah, they really were. I thought that tiny little girl was perfect for that role.
Yeah, the only person that I wasn't impressed was the Jeremy, the doctor, the guy who
Dude, yeah.
follows her. Yeah, I don't
For
know.
some reason, I don't know what it was about. I felt like you had this, it almost, and I've seen him before in a show called Hemlock Grove, and he
Hmm.
played like a werewolf dude. It was like a teen, and something about his face and stuff. It's like he's the one guy at high school that grows a beard before everybody else, and he's trying to look like an adult. That's kind of what this, like he just looked too young for the part, maybe.
Yeah, he just didn't fit. It just didn't seem, and the romance, I think it could have. I don't think we needed a romance. It seemed a little, because it just seemed like it didn't need it. It wasn't necessary for a romance.
Hmm. See, that was one of my favorite parts.
Really?
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. Some of my favorite parts, two of my favorite scenes are in the car. I just like that. Not a lot was said, but you could just see it in their faces. Like when she says, "I'm 18," and then looks at him, and he just kind of, you can see it, read it. He's like, "Okay, I guess I can do what I want to do," and she's like looking at him, like kind of almost like giving him permission and knowing what he's thinking. Like,
Hmm.
yes, we can get down. I'm of age. I really like that scene. I just like the minimalism of it and the lack of dialogue, and that you read into their body language,
Hmm.
the lighting and all that stuff. And the other scene that I really liked a lot was her watching the dream that he was having.
Yeah, that was cool. Yeah.
Because I love that song. By the way, the guy who wrote and directed it, he also did a lot of the soundtrack for that.
Wow.
Yeah, he did it with, I don't know if it's a person, a musical project, whatever, with a band or something called Electric Youth. So Electric Youth and him both did the soundtrack together.
Interesting. Yeah, I would have never guessed that. Multi-talented.
But yeah, and he has Asperger's.
Oh wow.
Yep. I mean, he's very, very high functioning. You would never know it. I wouldn't have known it, unless he said it.
Hmm.
But it almost kind of explains things, just the depth of where he's at with, and he's a Kubrick fan too, so
Hmm.
that tells me, like, everything that you're watching in his movie has intent. There's an intention for everything. So the second time that I watched it, knowing that, I was watching like the dreams that were going through the, passageways, and trying to, like, what is this? What does this mean? I'm trying to have is it because initially I just sat down and I'm like, cool, okay, I'm gonna watch this movie. And as I got toward the end, I was like, especially the end, I was like, oh, I should have turned my brain on and paid way more attention to what was going on, because now I'm gonna have to watch it again. Because it's not that I shut my brain off, it's just that I didn't go in knowing that you better pay attention to everything,
Yeah.
because you might miss something.
Yeah. The one thing that kind of reminded me to pay close attention was when they refer to it as an icon.
Hmm.
So that it has some kind of significance. It's not just something that she's seen that other people know what she's seen, or that it's not just her experiencing this or seeing this these creatures in this landscape. But the okay, so the group the group that she's in the study, and when she comes, it seems like everyone kind of knows each other,
Hmm.
and she's a newcomer, and they talk about there being more men than women. And
Yeah.
she asks, why are there, or I think the other woman asks, why are there more men than women? And we can't tell you that. Was okay. So she's in a coma. Were all these other people in comas too experiencing this with her?
Um, I don't know. I will tell
Okay.
you this.
I know
I
this
will,
is a tough
you,
one.
you know, you said she's in a coma, but I will tell you this, and I wrote this down so that I wouldn't forget it. The writer director, Anthony, he said, um, I like to think the message at the end, the
Mhm.
image that was sent through the text. I like to think that the message at the end isn't even for her. But when I said, you just blew my mind, because if you're trying to tell me this is Jeremy's dream, he said, no, that's not what I'm trying to tell you. I'm trying to tell you that it might be. And then that's when Jeremiah and I were talking. So I missed one word. But after playing it several times, having my wife come in here, we both agreed that it sounded like he was saying, I'm trying to tell you that it might be yours.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, yeah, exactly, dude. So I figured I'd bring that up now, since you're on the subject of her being in the coma. That might not be what's happening here.
Wow. Okay, yeah, my mind's okay. No, everything I thought had even theories on is now out the window, because
Hmm.
I thought that the doctors that she saw in that were working with her for the study were people in the room while she was in the coma, that she was just imagining them there with her,
Hmm.
that they were people trying to talk to her. And okay, yeah, there's a lot. Okay. All right. So the okay, so the door that she walks through, I kind of took that as her subconscious, or her, because she loses her, so she has her phone, she doesn't answer her phone, and she's really upset. Obviously, anyone would be upset when they lose their phone, but that
Hmm.
was like almost her connection to
Yeah.
everyone else, or her. And I thought it might be just because that's how the study was, the doctors were contacting her, but her mom was trying to call her. So she loses her phone in the laundromat. She um, has one of her attacks, loses her phone. Then she finds it at the end, and it's at that tree where the doorway is.
Hmm.
So I thought that was her, the phone was a way for her to communicate or to contact the outside world, and her walking into the door or to get out of this state that she's in. So yeah, I don't even I have no idea.
You don't want to hear my theory? You might laugh. You might think it has some, legs on it. I don't know. But my theory about the phone, when she loses her phone, a woman comes in and, and says, a woman who has blind eyes
Mhm.
says, uh, those boys took something from you. I thought, and I'm not, and I still kind of think that maybe her phone is symbolic of her innocence and that she had been um, sexually assaulted,
Mm.
and that at that point is when the coma starts. It's the only time that I think is it the only time that she has like a weird seizure thing where the colors change, like everything turns around and the camera starts shaking.
I think she has it in the hospital right when they show her the pictures of the when they show when she basically blackmails Jeremy she forces him to tell her what they're studying, and when
Yeah.
he showed, but I don't think she's that's the exact same experience as in the laundromat.
Okay. Yeah, I even told Anthony didn't say I was wrong, but I don't think I was. I had this whole um and if anybody's listening that would be triggered by sexual assault and or molestation, you might not want to hear what I have to say, but I'll be tame about it. I kind of saw. I was wondering if there was a theory that like a sexual assault um, uh, kind of undertone in there, and but at the same time, I also felt like I was really, grasping at straws, like really, like trying to reach. And I said that, I already mentioned the phone being kind of an symbolic of her innocence,
Mhm.
and then finding that at the end, through whatever she's going through, finding like getting through this period or whatever. um, but also the paralysis monsters, these things at the foot of your bed. I wondered if they weren't symbolic for uh, the stepdad, the boyfriend, the babysitter, the uncle that comes into the room when they
Mm.
shouldn't, while you're sleeping.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that would make
And then
sense.
and then you've got the weird, the Jeremy guy is kind of painted as a dude that's just into this girl, but I think a lot of the music and his face take the dark tone. He's actually really stalking her like crazy.
Mhm.
And like he's not letting up. He's following her around at the bookstore.
The
He's
theater, yeah.
yeah. And he's chasing her at the every time she tries to leave, he's there, he's chasing her. Doesn't take her to the hospital when she collapses in the thing, takes her home. And then he's having sex with her while I don't know if she's dreaming because she's seeing these paralysis things. So it almost feels like rape, you know.
Yeah.
And then she at the toward the end where she is in finally in the hospital, he takes her to the hospital. He's all worried because he can't find her. So he's talking to the nurse, but when the security guard shows up, he shuts right down and he doesn't want to he doesn't, say, "Hey, can you help me?" or whatever. I don't know if that's just because he thought he was being too loud, or if he knows he did something wrong. But there were a lot of different things, and there was also, I wondered if her living at home, like I was like, why isn't she living at home? Does her mom have like this stepdad, this boyfriend that's messing with her? And then I started. There's a dream that she has where there's people and their heads are buried in the walls,
Mhm.
like their bodies are sticking out, but their faces are so they can't see anything. And then the woman who like wakes her from the or whatever in the laundromat place, um, she has like blind eyes, like turning a
Mhm.
blind eye to in that, and at the same time that this thing that these boys took from her. So,
Mm.
and when I mentioned the blind eyes thing, He did say, when I asked him if it was an allegory for sexual abuse, he said there's some in there.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know to what extent. And when I mentioned the mother turning a blind eye to it all, and that a blind eye plays a factor, including her own, one of her eyes, he said, "It's funny you picked up on that," and mentioned deleted scenes that were in there that spelled it out a little bit more, but he felt it was too much, and I think it might be in a Blu-ray or something.
Oh, wow. Okay. I thought it was kinda odd that she one of the reasons I wasn't a fan of the romance was because she was really creeped out by him. She was real
Mhm,
and I was glad to see that there was some red flags there that she wasn't just that she noticed him in the theater because
mhm.
she noticed him in the bookstore, noticed him in the theater, and she was worried, and she didn't seem usually in a lot of times in movies like this, they're kinda like, "Oh, like, no big deal, maybe what a coincidence," but
Yeah.
she was pretty aware of what's happening around her, and it just seemed like a big change between her being worried about him being kind of a weirdo, and then he is in this position of power too because he's running the study, and
Mhm.
he knows things about her that, he knows what she's thinking her dreams are, so it seemed like a weird so that would make sense that she, this maybe seems normal to her or,
Yeah.
in a bad in a not good way.
Yeah, there are things I don't really, lean heavily on my sexual assault, theory because, there are just some things that just don't add up, and I think that I am, trying too hard to make that fit just because I liked some of the ideas that I came up with, but there are things like they have more guys there doing the study than girls, and that
Hmm.
kinda doesn't make sense. If it was the opposite, then I feel like that would help me out more toward my theory on that. But
And I think the other woman there with her even makes a comment or someone makes a comment about, "What are they doing to us when we're asleep?"
mhm,
And the techs or whoever that were there, they seemed a little I don't know, there's something about them that didn't seem on the up and up.
yeah, yeah. I there's a lot, like I said, there's there's still so much, and then you're already confused, and then that last 30 seconds happens, and you're like, okay, what? No, wait, what?
Yeah. Yeah, I was trying to figure and I thought, "Okay, it's almost over, there's gotta be some kind of reveal, something's going to point us in the right direction," and then totally blew up everything with that last, 30 seconds or so, and I
Yeah.
paused it on the phone because it's like, "Okay, what does that say?" And I wanted to make sure I read it right, but and she okay, so another thing in the dream that Jeremy's having that she watches on the screens, they have fangs,
Hmm.
and she has fangs
Yeah.
at the end. So I thought maybe it's some kind of vampirism thing that
At first, I just thought it was like when I first saw the dream, I was like, okay, this is just like fantasy. This is like some fantasy of his. They're just like it's some bizarro thing. It's like, yeah, he's with her, but they happen to have fangs. Um, and it might still be just that. I don't know. I don't know
hmm,
if the fangs have anything to do with it or not, or if it's just part of a dream world. You know, like we're together. Oh, and we have fangs,
yeah,
but there's no real significance. It's just the part of this fantasy, that we're happy together. We're alone in the world. It's just you and me versus the world, because we're vampires. Um,
hmm.
yeah, I don't know.
So if okay, I was wondering, so Jeremy in his dream, they have fangs. If it is Jeremy's dream, that would, I guess, make sense. She has fangs at the end that we're witnessing Jeremy's dream or his. But I thought it was him that she kills at the end. That's kind of where my mind went.
Yeah, it is, but um, I don't know why. Well, why? Who's dreaming? I do know that Anthony had. Uh, I didn't get a chance to watch the entire. I think I watched the first half of the. It's like an hour and a half, and I watched like maybe a half hour, 45 minutes of us talking about it today. Um, and I feel like it's somewhere in there. we talked a little bit more about a point at which, um, because I thought that maybe there was some point in the movie that you're supposed to guess at which reality is now over
Mhm.
and you're watching nothing but a dream and or dreams. At some point, she goes out and and everything else after that is just a dream.
Hmm.
But I'm glad that it wasn't, you know, like I think everybody hates those movies that are like or stories, and it was just a dream, and it was, but this wasn't really like that. This was
Uh,
done so much more intelligently than that.
yeah, even if it was all a dream, even if this was her dream, I still wouldn't be disappointed because it keeps you guessing into the very end. Um, and
Yeah,
the last few 30 seconds or so is enough to pull that off with all the other things that they set up. But the one of the dreams that I think one of the last visions she has or dreams she has was the figure with just legs that were just sticking out. It didn't have a head. It just like this
yeah.
leg. So I wondered what that if this type of movie you think that everything means something. So I wondered what is that? Why the legs?
I think that didn't right after that dream, didn't it show Jeremy waking up?
Oh, okay.
I don't know that every one of those dreams was hers, but then I thought after right after that dream, it showed him waking up, and I was wondering if um, that represented just how Jeremy viewed women
Oh, okay.
as legs, just as sexual objects.
Hmm.
I could be wrong. It could have been her dream. I don't know. That's just kind of how I tried to interpret the dreams, and it was just like when the first time I saw this movie, I was just like, I just thought each dream was supposed to be something unique to the eye, not
Hmm.
have meaning behind it, you know. And then the second time I watched it, I tried to pay attention to the dreams, and then that was a couple years ago, and then I watched it again today, and I still really can't make sense of the dreams.
Yeah. The the doctor when the other two patients are there and they're those black figures are in the room with them. I forget the other doctor's name, but he says, go get Jeremy, but Jeremy's out with our main
Hmm.
character. And it's something to the effect of this is what he's been waiting for.
Hmm.
So I wondered, was he trying to manifest them in reality? Was that his goal to
I don't know. I mean, he said he's been seeing them since he was 6,
Mhm.
and so he was trying to get to the bottom of I don't know, figuring out why they're there, what they are, and I do know that I don't know if you've ever talked to anybody who's seen these things, but it's a thing,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
and they can't move, and they see this thing at the foot of their bed, this block
Has
shape.
has it ever happened to you?
No, thank God, no.
It's happened to me once.
Really?
But it was just it just I didn't really see what was there. It just looked like a figure. I couldn't tell what it was. But yeah, it's only happened once. It's been a while, but yeah, people have really vivid experiences. Well, they claim to. I
Mhm.
think there's a movie called The Nightmare that people discuss their experiences with sleep paralysis. It's pretty terrifying.
Yeah, dude, I chose not to watch that. I remember when it's like a documentary, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't watch that. I chickened out.
Wow, I'm surprised.
Yeah, it's not often that I'll say no to a movie. Usually, unless it's something like like a Serbian film or something like that, that
Oh
I
yeah.
just have no interest in watching that kind of thing. But yeah, I remember when that came out, and I was like, I think I'll pass. That'll just make me paranoid, probably.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. That's where I thought they were going was sleep paralysis when they're in the beds and they didn't look like they could move,
Hmm.
and they were looking at these figures and they could only move their eyes and look at the figures in the room.
Yeah.
The suits that they put on. I know it's a low budget film, but I thought they did a good job with the suits. The kind of the white suit with all the different ribs
Yeah.
on it. But those are pretty neat.
Yeah, Anthony, I guess he's a huge fan of Tron,
Oh,
so that's where that came from.
that would make sense. Yeah,
But
that's
yeah, I did you have you seen It Follows?
yes, yeah,
Okay, you like that movie?
yeah.
I felt like this had kind of the same ambiguity as far as what era is this in, because in It Follows, all the vehicles and the decor and everything is like 70s, 80s, but then this chick's got an e-reader.
The shell, yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah.
then the same with here. It's like there's cell phones in here, but um like that computer dude, that computer stuff is not high tech at all.
No, it seemed pretty lo-fi.
This is like IBM stuff.
Yeah, yeah, like Commodore stuff, like
Yeah,
way,
yeah.
way back in the day.
Hmm.
Yeah, but I think that's part of the charm though is that mixture, and it
I love
almost
that.
keeps you off kilter too. That
Hmm.
it's another part of the story that keeps you off.
It's like
Yeah,
disorienting. You can't,
and
yeah, you can't
yeah,
pinpoint exactly. Yeah, I love that.
and plus with her joining the study, it kind of felt like when you're desperate, you'll do pretty much anything because she's so
Hmm.
desperate to sleep and to rest and to have a place to go that she was vulnerable enough to volunteer for this weird study that
Yeah,
they're going to watch her sleep, and she just was so desperate to find an answer for it.
yeah, and under her circumstances, it just seemed like almost like the dream job. Oh gosh, no pun intended, but it seemed like a seemed like the dream job for her because she needed a place to crash and she needed money and I mean get paid to do paid to um, but I'm surprised it didn't go into a little bit more about what was going. I think that the deleted scenes do talk a little bit more about what was going on with her
Mm.
at home, and I do think that Anthony mentioned something that kind of alluded to the fact that some bad stuff was going on at home that might be involving another person.
Hmm. So, yeah, because I wonder why she just didn't go home. She went home for a shower and for some, for I
Yeah,
think for a meal and some coffee, and then she disappeared before her mom came in the room. So you kind of wondered, okay, what's that backstory? Why not go home? But that does make sense if it's an abuse thing.
yeah, because she seemed like a smart kid. I mean, she was still going to school, so it's not like she would just quit and she was off partying and getting high and drunk and stuff. So it must have been for a kid like that to leave home. Must have been more than just me and my mom can't get along.
Yeah.
Because that's usually because a lot of times because the kid is just being unruly and doesn't want to, or if you have a parent that's just um, their expectations are just way too high or something, and they're super strict or something. But yeah, I don't know what was going on there, but I think there was probably a third party involved or something with.
That would make sense. Sleeping on a playground slide seems like the least safe place to be.
Yeah, it doesn't sound very comfortable either.
Another thing that kind of struck me, and now that you're mentioning the abuse angle, I one of the things that when she's at her friend's house and she's crashing there for the night, her friend has a ton of stuffed animals on her bed,
Hmm.
and I wonder if that's a sign of her friend's, I guess, innocence or her still being she's still a child and hasn't had to face what our main character has had to face. Maybe
Hmm.
because it is full of stuffed animals. It's like a wall of stuffed animals. So I wonder if that was something, if there was something there.
Maybe. Plus, her friend has like a complaint early on that just is like probably shouldn't be complaining about that around your friend here. And I can't remember what it was, but it was something stupid about being at home, about her mom or something like that.
Oh yeah,
Something
yeah.
trivial. But yeah, that could be, or at least to show a comparison that uh, between the two. That this one girl has the comforts of home
Hmm.
and love and whatever is surrounded by things that she needs or wants, and this other chick doesn't have anything.
The I know we're jumping around a little bit here, but
Hmm.
the the sleepwalk towards the end, that's one of the things I'm really confused. Well, because she was following someone, and there's all these creatures on the side when they get into the kind of the wooded area.
Hmm.
Um, so I wasn't sure what, and she walks a long way
Yeah.
in little in
And
slippers.
no cars, nothing. Yeah.
No, yeah, it's almost like everything else disappeared, and the other doctor that comes to assist even leaves her car behind and just
Hmm.
jumps up, and they hook this stuff up to her head, and they're following her the whole time. And he says something like they have to wake her up right before she dies, or she'll wake up right before she dies because their brain wants to live. So I wonder what it was. He did he not wake her up because he wanted to see what would happen, or did he not wake her up because it was dangerous?
I think that was just part of their thing, the scientist who wants to, they were so close to getting our answers here and the data, and that we need all this stuff. And it might have just been part of that, having like a scientist brain, a thirst for knowledge. And here we are doing this is something, totally different. But then again, that whole scene is just not. I mean, um, it, it's not real. It's not. That's all of a sudden there's no cars around. The city is empty, and then they get swooped behind them. That's all just the whole thing is just a dream at that point.
Hmm.
So, but I do wonder about the significance of the sleepwalking, because in her interview at the beginning, she said that she used to sleepwalk when she was young
Yeah, she did say that.
during
I
the
think
like interview.
then she said she hasn't in a while. I think she said something like she used to, or she doesn't anymore.
Yeah, but yeah, she said she did for a while when she was young, but she hasn't for a long time or something. Yeah.
Hmm. Wow. Yeah. The door. What's your theory on the doorway? What is that? Her, or is that us, or is that what does a doorway signify?
Um,
And to you,
I
anyway.
I don't know, because are you referring to like the in the dreams the
Oh well, the door when she's walking through the field and she's sleepwalking, and there's a doorway appears, and she
hmm,
walks right to it, and she walks through the doorway, and that's when she kind of snaps out of it, and it almost seemed like she does wake up when
hmm.
she walks through it, but I wondered, was that her coming out of her own dream or her
I don't
subconscious?
know. I think that the phone has a huge significance in this movie, and if we knew what the phone was, because um, I think it's more than just an inconvenience for a teenager to not have her phone. These boys took it from you, um, and then it's the main thing that she's going to through this whole way. That's what's at the end of the line is this telephone, and then when it's picked up, she comes out of it. So I don't
Did
know.
sh
It means something.
Could Jeremy and the text have been the boys who took something from her in the laundromat to make her vulnerable, or to leave her with limited options, to have her to force her back to them?
Um,
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, just
I
trying to
mean,
think what would
maybe
happen.
if she's the one, if this coma is going on, maybe she never really owned a phone in the first place, and that's why you've got this older technology. And so this phone is symbolic of yeah, this whatever these boys took of her, whether it be her innocence or um, her um, her self worth, and that through these dreams and maybe reflection or whatever, it's it's a constant pursuit to get back to whatever this phone represents that was taken from her,
Hmm.
and through the whole thing, it's just a um, I don't know. And then the woman with the blind eyes who even tells her what happened. I don't know exactly what she's supposed to represent.
Yeah.
But like I said, the only thing I could think of was your stereotypical mother in love with a bad man, turning a blind eye um, to what's going on at home.
Mhm.
And then when this woman acknowledges and tells her that Beast Boys took this from her. She has blind eyes herself. I don't know, man.
Yeah,
There's just,
it's a yeah, one of those.
yeah, but like I said earlier, then other things don't really add up. So I'm glad that this is not a. I'm glad this is not a Hollywood movie, because while a movie that was about sleep paralysis, demons, or whatever would be fun, it wouldn't be. Um, just Hollywood does that, man. They ruin so much stuff, so
They
many
ruin
good
everything.
ideas. Yeah,
They ruin everything.
I don't know if I brought this up last week, but because I bring it up a lot. But there's a foreign film called The Innocents. Have you seen that?
No, I think I have it on my list.
It was my bet. It was the best movie I saw last year, and it's a is it a Danish film? I can't remember what country. Norwegian, maybe, I think.
Yes. Let me see. Let's see. I'm trying to see the location or the country. Yeah, 1010 won't watch again. Is one of the reviews. Oh,
um,
Bangladesh.
yeah, that is a perfect example of. First of all, if I wouldn't have went in blind and just read the synopsis, I probably wouldn't have watched it. If I were to
Hmm.
tell you what it's about, um, it probably wouldn't sound that intriguing because of what Hollywood has done, and you probably picture how America would do something like this. But it's a perfect example of how if how good a movie can be using a concept that might be sound otherwise kind of either boring or done to death, and then but yeah, being outside of Hollywood's influence, it just became this masterpiece. And if Hollywood took that same film, like if we did a remake, even if it was, even if it wasn't like a, if it wasn't a remake, if you had the, um, it was Norwegian, right? Is it with
Bangladesh, I think.
Bangladesh? Okay.
Hmm.
If you had them do their movie secretly and nobody saw it, and then you had a Hollywood do the same thing from, same script, dude, man, the Hollywood would just suck. It would be, it would just be this kind of vengeful superhero thing with explosions and dramatic music and uh, fire and stuff, and it would have been bad.
Just imagine the state of movies if not for streaming services right now, though. If not for Hulu or Shutter or even Netflix. I mean, the what Hollywood is pumping out right now is. I mean, uh, I rarely have any interest in anything they do.
Yeah,
Like
I
bigger
don't
budget.
either. I don't either. Um, Jack Campese on Final Guys, he hates me for saying this, but and he thinks I'm an idiot because I don't like Marvel movies or DC movies. And the
Uh,
last Marvel or DC, I did watch. What was it? Guardians of the Galaxy, because my youngest wanted me to see it, so I watched it with him. That was like 4 years ago or something, right? I can't remember how long ago it came out. But before that, the only movie that I've seen in all of this stuff is the first Iron Man. That was the last uh, like movie like this that I saw. I didn't know that all of this was going to happen with, uh, and then Star Wars, and I haven't seen the last like 3 or 4 Star Wars. I'm more of a Star Trek guy. I like the cerebral sci-fi rather than the creatures and stuff like that. Muppets and.
yeah.
So, but yeah, and it's not just the Marvel stuff, but it's just yeah, I feel like they just don't know how to tell a good story without their computers and their pyrotechnics or something. I don't know.
Well, that's why I love movies like this and streaming services because they take chances and do things that you wouldn't think that they would try, and even though it doesn't always work, it's still have to admire the effort.
So, totally. I watched your your review on Skinamarink,
Mhm.
and when I was watching it the other day, I was furious because of I realized, that this was not just a creative intro, that this was going to be the movie.
Yeah.
15 minutes in, I'm like, okay, this is it. This is what I'm going to be. And I'm just thinking, but it can't be, not for an hour and 40 minutes. It just can't be. There's
That's what
just
I
no
thought
way.
too. Yeah.
Um, but what's weird is irate as I was, and that I was forced to watch this for Final Guys, and as much as I was hating it, I couldn't deny the unsettling feeling that I kept getting in certain scenes. And by the time the movie was done, I was kind of disturbed. And I
Hmm.
don't know if that's because it was so boring, or or because of the unrelenting atmosphere of just this constant
Hmm.
dark and grainy thing that you're subject to for nearly 2 hours. Um, and then I found myself, I knew I was going to, when the podcast came, I knew I was going to talk about how much I hated it. By the time we went live, I realized I can't stop thinking about this stupid movie. And like it affected me. I still don't like the movie, but I agree with you on your review that you got to give it to them that they're thinking outside the box and they're trying something, even if it doesn't work for you. At least it's not the same thing rehashed. But I felt like there were so many great scenes in there. Uh, I didn't like the jump scares. The jump scares bothered me because they felt like you got something unique you're trying here, but then you're gonna, have this telephone with this loud,
Hmm.
sound, or the girl with a face, and then, or like the stuff disappearing and with the weird boing with the
Yeah.
doors. So I didn't like the jump scares. It was when they said stuff like "stick a knife in your eye," that that kind of stuff that was like, "What did you just say? That's freaking gnarly."
Yeah.
That's that is ew. And then here, barely hearing the kid cry and things like that. That is the stuff that um that kind of shook me a little bit. The jump scares just would, like, I'd be like kind of creeped out, and then they'd do a jump scare and I'm like, that was just stupid. I didn't like that.
That whole eyeball thing on the phone, you see that coming like a mile away.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it wasn't even, and the music is what irritated me. If they just lit it up and those one, but the loud music that they try to emphasize this jump scare just was like, okay, yeah,
Yeah.
that didn't work. It
Yeah,
was
yeah.
bad.
But it's again, I you probably read other people's reviews or watched them, see what other people, and it's another movie that has like some theories to it. And
Hmm.
when we were doing Final Guys, um, one of the people in the chat said that they thought that this was all, speaking of comas, that the boy who was pushed on the stairs, that this was just his, that he went into a coma, and this was his thing.
That's kind of cool.
So
Oh,
yeah, I'd heard like theories on abuse, um, and that this thing was actually the dad, and that he was abusive. But
oh, okay.
I did find it weird because I'd forgotten about the whole he fell down the stairs thing, which
Yeah, they
has,
had mentioned it. Yeah.
yeah, which has to play a huge part, or why have it? Because that's like the most like traditional kind of piece right there. That dialogue, that bit right there. Everything else is just whacked out. So why have this very clear thing here at the beginning if it didn't mean anything? You know?
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't even think of that about the coma or the dad being the because I think the kids even ask where is mom, or they maybe she went with dad or something to that effect. So
Mhm.
is it? Yeah, I mean,
Some people think that the kids are dead, and this and that we're seeing the parents grieve, like the mom crying in the bed.
hmm,
Some people are thinking that the parents are dead, and that this is like Beetlejuice, and they're just living in the house, and the kids are seeing these ghost parents. I don't know. I don't even know how I got on the Skinamarink thing, but
hmm.
supposed to be
Oh,
talking
just
about.
because they took chances and did something
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
different. Yeah, But Josh says, I hate most superhero movies, but the Batman was excellent. Couldn't care less about the cinematic universes, though. I thought the Batman was okay. I think it went on a little bit too long, about half an hour too long, but it had some, it was okay. I thought they did okay.
I haven't
Um,
seen it. I did like the Nolan Batman movies. I did watch those. I don't know if I saw the last one. I don't know how many of them he did. I think the last one I did watch was the Heath Ledger one.
yeah, they did the one with Bane with Tom Hardy,
Mhm.
the third one, and yeah, it was all right. It
I
was
I
okay.
did like Joker though.
Oh, I love Joker.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
got Joaquin Phoenix in it, so and it was not like that was not a superhero movie. You know, that was
No, no, and even the whole Wayne, the Wayne angle is in they twist that around in a way you wouldn't expect them to twist it
mhm.
around. And the laugh, well, I thought they did a great job with the laugh, Joker's laugh.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty clever.
Yeah, I love Joaquin.
Oh, he's excellent. Yeah. I think they're doing the second one now. I think they're saying it's going to be a musical. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know about that.
Hmm.
Yeah. Not sure how to feel about that. I think Lady Gaga's in that one. I think they cast her as some character.
Hmm. That's weird. Well, hopefully it'll be what was that musical that they put out a few years ago? Was it Cats? Did they do Cats into like a
Yeah, they try to.
oh man, yeah, I saw the trailer. Sometimes you see a trailer and you're just like, I can't believe you even released this trailer. You know this is gonna flop. Like like the trailer for that '90s show.
Oh, I haven't seen it. Yeah.
Oh well, yeah. Everybody was just dogging on it. I saw the trailer and I was like, you got to be kidding me. How did they do this? How did they make this?
I kind of felt like that with the Monsters, the Rob
Yeah,
Zombie
yeah.
Monsters. Wow, that was bad.
Have you saw it?
No, I just saw the trailer, but
Yeah, I saw the
I heard it's
trailer too.
okay. I heard some people like the movie, but I don't, not for me.
I think they probably the Rob Zombie fanboys and girls probably liked it, forced themselves to like it. But I've heard that it wasn't good, and I don't trust Rob Zombie. I think he's got a good artistic eye, but I don't think he's a great director.
Yeah,
I think he should work in like the art department because I mean he paints and stuff. He's an artist, and I think he's got a good creative eye, but directing I just don't know. I just don't know. I've seen. I think I saw the Devil's Rejects, which I liked, but I didn't like Thousand Corpses, and I didn't like uh what was the satanic one? Or what was the
oh,
satanic one?
Salem, or was it
Yeah,
uh,
something.
Lords of Salem or Lords
Yeah,
of
yeah, yeah.
something? Yeah,
That was kind of corny. And then Halloween was okay, uh, but then Halloween was real bad, and
his Halloween's.
mainly because he had Michael Myers um, talking. That he's Michael Myers said die, and I was like, dude, you don't. There's two things you don't do. One is you don't show his face, and his you can see half his face through half the movie, and the other one is you. Michael doesn't talk, man. That's why we like him. He's
Yeah,
not Freddy Krueger.
he's a strong silent type.
Yeah, like Jason.
Have you seen 31? Is the Halloween?
No, I'll probably watch it,
It was okay.
but
It was pretty bonkers. It's pretty wild.
yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't perfect, but it's a little off the rails, but I
Mhm.
thought it was okay. It was a fun, like, you know, I was surprised he did some of the stuff he did, but it was all right.
Oh, he's like he gets really nasty with his dialogue and some of the stuff that he does, and so wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, he's went a little unchained in that one. I thought I was surprised he went as far as he did. There's, but it was okay. I thought it's worth a watch probably. But
Hmm. Yeah, I'll probably check it out at some point.
in in this movie, I was thinking about this today too with Come True. The title of the movie was Dreams Come True. That's what I was kind of going towards. So
Okay.
What does that mean to the movie? Or I don't know if it has any meaning. I would guess it some kind of meaning to it, but I wasn't sure if you had any thoughts on that.
I don't think I really thought of that. I thought too much on the title, and I didn't ask Anthony about it either. Um, I don't know. Maybe like this dream that that this dude had. I don't know. It came true, sort
Yeah,
of.
hold
In
on.
that, I wonder what this new technology that they're trying to get to him is.
Hmm.
I mean, yeah, it makes you wonder. I like what year was this? Because the more I think about the cell phone and then versus the computers, I didn't really pay attention to the cars, um,
Oh.
or the decor, but those computers for sure were not. They didn't look new.
The car that her mom drives looked it struck me as like an 80s type of
Yeah.
the long the long sedan, and I think there's a couple of cars on the road that seemed a little 80s to me. That seemed a little dated.
Okay. In the club scene, I didn't pay. Now that I think about it, I didn't pay attention to the music, or that was more like it looked like kind of like a rave type scene.
Yeah, and I love how she just walks in. This big
Yeah.
long line and she just walks in. I mean, why does there have to be a line? Just walk in. It's popular. I think it's funny that when these clubs always have a long line of people waiting. It's like
Yeah.
just walk in. I don't know.
Yeah. There was something else I was thinking on. I can't remember what it was. Shoot. I don't know. Did you like the movie?
I did, yeah. I liked it, and then when the end happened, I liked it more.
Mm, that's cool.
Yeah, I was waiting for some kind of reveal or something at the end. So when she finds herself with her thumbs in someone's skull,
Hmm.
and then I thought, okay, this is cool. And then she has fangs, and then she sees the phone. I thought, okay, this is. I liked it, and then now I have no idea what just happened because you kind of have ideas, and then the end happens. Like what?
Yeah.
And the way it just ends like that. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. I would love to. I did ask Anthony too. I said, do your crew, everybody that was on set, do they all know like everything there is to know about this movie? And he said that the main actors, Jeremy, who played Jeremy, and Sarah was her name, I think, and then I think the other girl who worked
Sarah.
with
Yeah.
Jeremy. He said they knew a lot,
Hmm.
not everything, but knew a lot about you know. But he also would tell them, uh, give them different, tell them different things to
Okay.
as they acted, so that they would, um, you know, act accordingly. So I don't know if they all have their own theories or what.
That's so cool though. That's so neat.
Yeah, he seems like really cool. I saw some live stream of his where they had the whole cast there, or at
Oh
least
wow.
the main actors and Anthony, and they really, really enjoyed working with him. And they praised him quite a bit for his vision and just how well he used to work with. I would imagine that some directors just are not like Kubrick, where it's just not. It's like everyone would want to work with Kubrick, but it's like, oh man, what a headache. But I know that some people, like David Lynch, I guess, is a joy to work with. But I think he would have to be in a mindset where it's like, okay, this is David Lynch. He's probably going to be tough with me, but it's David Lynch, so I need to allow it. And he knows what he's doing. This is his movie. If he tells me to act like I don't know how to act, which is how a lot of his, like Twin Peaks and stuff. they're just
Hmm.
so, some of the acting is just so purposely corny that and bizarre. You just gotta trust him, I guess.
He did Mulholland Drive, right? Was that
Yeah.
Lynch?
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
It's another wild one that it's hard to dissect. Well, I guess you could, but it's probably not as abstract or as ambiguous as this one is. Maybe.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely has one of those ones where it's like you really got to think like, okay, what just happened here? What, especially the end. It's like what?
Yeah,
But there are some that, I mean, some of his stuff is pretty straightforward. Wild at Heart, Blue Velvet, and then each one of those movies, but will have some scene that's like, why is that scene even in here? And because it's in there, it makes it super creepy because it kind of doesn't make sense to be in there. This character saying this weird, bizarre thing out of left field has nothing to do with the movie, and that's why I love David Lynch so much. He
yeah.
does weird stuff
He's.
like that.
I love it. Yeah, that's a good one. I think it's skillful to for Come True to keep us guessing so long, and then to throw that to not have an inkling of what's going to happen at the end, to be a total surprise, because we really don't have any indication of the coma or whoever's in the coma.
Hmm.
It's never
Yeah,
really a thought.
yeah. Then you got to really kind of backpedal and think about, when you read that message on the phone, it's like, okay, wait a minute. So she's in a coma, um, which according to Anthony, no, she's not. And so, but that's your first thought is like, okay, so she's in a coma. When exactly did this coma like start? And there's different points at which you're trying to think back, like Sixth Sense. Like when Bruce Willis dies, it's like, okay, it's clear where he died, and but there's not a clear moment where things stop becoming reality and start becoming a dream, and then we're watching, I guess, what would be dreams within a dream with the passages.
It's
I
wild.
was I was hoping you'd like it, man, and I knew that it would make for a good discussion just because we wouldn't know what the heck, uh, you know, some
I
of the
love
stuff
movies like
was.
this. Weird movies like that. It's done in a very subtle way. That it's
Hmm.
not just it seems like a because about an hour through I thought, okay, what's happened, like what I was trying to kind of keep track of what's happened so I can kind of have an idea of tracking the story. But when the movie is over and you realize how it ends, you thought, okay, a whole lot of shit happens in the first hour that you don't really realize it until it's over. Then you look back and you see all these little things that are sprinkled in, and you realize all these things have meaning.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, for sure. And I wish that I wish there are, if a movie is like that, like I think we were just talking about Skinamarink, and I think that if somebody would have told me at the beginning, listen, this isn't really a movie, this is like an experience, I would have appreciated it more, you know.
Yeah,
But I'm like, okay, cool. Let's, I start the movie and there's this cool grainy thing and the font looks like it's like 70s or something. I was all in. And then
yeah,
you know what happens. But so I'd rather know going in, to prepare myself for a different kind of mindset. And I kind of, even though I don't want to know anything about a movie, there are times when, like, if someone, that's why I think usually when I turn somebody on to Come True, I'll say, yeah, here's a movie, but you got to really pay attention when you're watching it. So pay close attention. And so usually I just saw another movie like that you got to pay attention to called Resurrection. I think it's on Shutter.
oh, okay.
Such a great movie, I think it was in my top 5 last year. But uh, yeah, that one's another one that you just got, because by the time the end, you're backtracking and you're trying to put pieces together on what exactly certain things meant. And
Oh wow, Rebecca Hall and Tim Roth.
hmm Yeah, they're both great in it.
Wow. And Josh commented, I love how this is a spoiler discussion, but I wasn't spoiled on anything because it's all imagery, it seems. I'll definitely give it a watch. This is a hard one to spoil. It's a hard one because I'm not sure we really know exactly what happened, but
Yeah, just pay close attention when you and just know that even small things in there probably have a very significant meaning to them, uh, other than just being, um, I admire filmmakers who take that extra time to. Kubrick did that a lot. Probably not as much as people think in The Shining. I don't know if you've ever seen any of those documentaries
mm,
about The Shining, but they go overboard with theories, um, about how it was. What is the name of that documentary? Room 237, is that what it's called?
let's
Or,
see.
or room, what was the room? I got it on my keychain. Room 237, yeah. I turned my ceiling fan into um, a shining
Oh, nice.
thing.
Nice.
And
Yeah.
the keychain is the hotel key.
Oh,
Um,
that's
so I had to
cool.
look it up.
Yeah, it is room 237 in 2012.
Yeah. And then there's another documentary. And then there's just uh, really well made, put together videos that YouTubers put up. But it's Room 237 goes over the different theories on what The Shining is really about. Like one theory goes over Nazis, that it's
Wow.
about the Nazis or something, I think. And then another one goes over how it's about the massacre of Indians. And the other one it goes over, which is the most believable one, if any of them can be believed, and the most popular one is that Kubrick was, after he did 2001, that movie 2001, that he was asked to film the moon landing, and that The Shining is his way of, um, trying to tell people that yes, I did do this moon landing thing, and the stuff that people put together for this is like, some of it's out there. It's like, now you're just reaching, but some of it's like, wow, okay, now that's creepy. That that might be true.
Wow. I didn't heard
So
that theory.
if you're um people still say that it's fake, and that and some people believe that Kubrick was asked to create it because of
Hmm.
what he did with 2001 Space Odyssey. So, but the documentary is interesting, and yeah, some of it is very cool. How just things hidden around the room that say, that point to, and then there's theories about, um, like the bear scene, and that Jack was portrayed as a molesting Danny, and
Hmm.
it goes through all of this stuff on um, how that may have been going on using all this bear imagery, and I didn't realize how much bear imagery was
Hmm.
in the movie until it's all pointed out, and people are like stopping the movie and pointing at all this stuff. It's like, dang man, that's kind of creepy. If
That's
all
kind
that
of
stuff
cool.
was really put there, I mean, um, right down to at the beginning of the movie when Jack is sitting, before his interview to get the job. He's sitting in this chair waiting, and he's reading an issue of Playgirl magazine. And the particular issue that he's reading has an article that's right on the cover on incest, and so just stuff like that people point out. It's like, man, if Kubrick did all that stuff on purpose, got to respect that. I feel
Details.
like if I was an actor or a director, I would be like, hey, anybody got a magazine over there? Give me that magazine real quick. Oh, it's Playgirl, dude. I don't care. Nobody will know. Just give it to me. You know.
Yeah.
But Kubrick is probably like, did we make that call? I need that particular issue of Playgirl. So, We're
and
not gonna be able to shoot until tomorrow when it gets here, overnight delivery.
and Carl likes the windy theory. I'm not sure what that one is. Are you familiar with the windy theory?
The windy theory. What is that, Carl?
Yeah, let
I'm
us
not
know, Carl.
sure. I've probably heard it, but I'm not sure. Yeah, The Shining is might be my favorite horror movie.
Oh, that it's all in Wendy's head.
Oh,
When Wendy hallucinated the whole thing.
I have heard that. I have heard that.
Hmm.
But these theories and just the acting and the atmosphere and the music are why and the camera shots are why I like the movie better than I do the book. Which I
Wow.
know I'm in the minority. I mean, I like it way better than the book.
Hmm. I know Daniel Barnett is a big uh, fan of the book over the movie. He talks
Sorry.
about that all the time. Yeah. Good evening. Yeah, it's all in Wendy's head.
Hmm.
Yeah, my son is classy vigilante. He watched it with me last night, and when it was over, we both looked at each other like, "Okay, what does that mean?" And we both like, "I don't know." have to think about it for a little while. The items with one scene missing in the next. Oh, with the items in one scene and missing in the next with
Hmm.
The Shining.
Hmm.
Hmm, interesting. So, do you have a theory for come true? What's your if you had to choose one theory, what would be your theory?
Oh man, dude. I mean, even though there's a lot of loopholes in it, I mean, the sexual assault one, and even though Anthony, didn't say like that was, I mean, he said even, that's part of it. That's all I got, but it just, there are some parts that kind of debunk that, I feel,
Hmm.
you know, but I think that the ideas that I had are part of it. But I think that if we knew what the phone was, I think that would, what the phone is supposed to, I really truly believe it's supposed to symbolize something more than just a cell phone.
Yeah, it has to mean more than that because she was so distraught when she lost it, and when she found it, she said something like I think she told Jeremy, how did you know to leave it here, or how is this here now? Like, how can it be here?
Hmm.
So it seems it has some kind of significance, and I think it seemed like the same phone at the end, and I think even in the message at the end that says something like, "I'm not sure when you'll receive this message."
Hmm.
So maybe it wasn't 20 years that she was, or whoever was in the coma wasn't. Maybe it was longer than 20 years.
What was the deal with the time? They never, when they're like, it was like 10:01. She's like, "Oh my gosh, what time is it?"
Oh, that's right.
And he
Yeah.
looks at his watch. He's like, "What the heck?" But that was it. I don't know if 10:01 meant like ones and zeros.
Oh shit. And I think even when she asks what time is it, no one ever says what time it is, but they just all look at their watches or their clock. But then no one ever says out loud what time it is.
And I
Hmm.
know at the very beginning of the movie, she looks at her phone, and it holds on it for a second. So I really think we were supposed to, but it was 7:11
Oh.
in the morning. So I don't know if that was just to tell us that was, I don't think that, and we could tell it was early in the morning because
Hmm.
the sun was just rising. She was on a playground. There's no reason to show her phone. Um, so I wondered if those numbers meant anything.
Hmm. Yeah. I don't know. I don't, I'm trying to find an image of the phone, the last scene, but I can't seem to find it. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure. So maybe 7-Eleven because it was luck that she found it, that she read it. I don't know. Like a
I don't know. I just keep thinking of like the convenience store, 7-Eleven. I don't, but that has nothing to do with this. Do you have a theory that stands out that you believe in that you?
um gosh, I had theories before this conversation. Now I'm not. All of them got blown. I had theories before the end of the movie, and then the end of the movie happened, and all of them got thrown out the window. And then I had theories today, and we had this conversation that we discussed the abuse angle, and all my other theories went out the window. That too, and who's in the coma, who's
Yeah.
experiencing this, who. Okay, before I get to a thought, Brittany, and the books, thanks for coming by. If you like The Shining, you should read White Horse. I haven't read that one yet. Have you read that, White Horse?
No, but I didn't really like The Shining, the book, so maybe I
Yeah.
wouldn't like White Horse.
Just as still have no clue what you two were trying to describe, but I'm loving it. So I just had a thought. Okay, so with Jeremy, I'm assuming Jeremy dies at the end. So if he dies, is that the reason she received the message?
I
Because
mean, what
if
if Jeremy wasn't even real in the first place?
yeah, I wonder did he signal or did he represent something that she was able to get over, to kill, or to defeat, and that opened the door for her to get the message. She was ready for it. I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know either,
I don't
man.
know. I don't know. I don't know if we'll ever know. But
Did you catch all the George Romero references?
yeah, the shirt, was it Romero University or something like that, or
Yeah.
Romero Athletics or something?
And then there was another one. And then the dude's glasses. He had George Romero's glasses on, those
The big,
giant things. Yeah.
yeah, those are gnarly glasses. And that's another thing that was kind of took us. I thought this is taking place in a different time period. The big glasses.
Yeah. Yeah, it could have been. I don't know, man. I wish Anthony was a friend of mine so I could just call him up and be like, hey, let's talk about your movie again, dude.
Yeah. Well, maybe he'd be willing to talk about it again. I don't know. Maybe we can talk to him.
I wouldn't even ask because it's been a year and a half or so and I still don't have that episode up.
Yeah,
And
that's
it
true.
was one
Yeah.
of our best episodes because it had such a cool guest on it. I think it was the only time that we ever had an actual like movie guest.
Hmm.
So um I don't know.
Hmm. Yeah. I don't know. But yeah, it's a great pick. I loved it. I love these kind of movies that are done well and keep you guessing, and you can throw theories out all day and we don't know if we're right or not.
Yeah.
So great choice.
Awesome. I'm glad that you liked it.
Yeah, I loved it. I'll have to do another one. Let me know when you're available.
I'm supposed to be recording next week an episode of Bleeding Page, but I don't know when. And then we're supposed to have Lansdale on there again
Oh,
too,
cool.
but I don't have dates for him, so I can. I'm pretty flexible as long as it's after 2 Eastern, and as long as it's not on Tuesday nights at 8 because I have Final Guys live on the stream. But other than that, I do all my work or around everything else, so I'm not on a
Nice.
set schedule. So if there's something, I bought some DVDs. I'm assuming I bought them because they're A24 films,
Oh,
and I'm a huge A24 fan.
me too.
I don't know why I haven't seen these movies yet, but all my friends love them. So I thought, but I bought X and Pearl, or yeah. I'm sure you've heard of them, but I don't know
I
if
haven't
you.
seen them, but I'm down. Yeah, I would love to. Yeah. Well,
Yeah, they're supposed to be. Yeah, like Pearl, I think is a sequel, and it's
hmm.
came out right after, like a year later, or maybe this is the same year. I'm not sure. I think it might have been the
Wow.
same year. But
Wow. Yeah, we'll plan it out. But before I sign off, where can people find you if they want to connect with you and find your work?
ChadLutzke.com. Everything is there. Links to my Patreon page, Twitter, Amazon books. Yeah, all that stuff. Cover design, like if you need a book cover, I got pre-mades up there, and I am open for commissions. And yeah,
Isn't it nice having a website and not depending on social media platforms to carry the load for you?
Unfortunately, I have to also depend on social media because, and I hate Twitter, uh, because just all the loud mouths on there, and um, it's hard to bite my tongue, but I do
Yeah.
keep it professional. Nobody wants to hear my 2 cents. Nobody wants to hear anybody's 2 cents, but yet here we are. It's Twitter for you. So
Yeah.
I am kind of it's a necessary evil. Unfortunately, now over the last couple of months, and I maybe it has something to do with Elon Musk, but nobody really sees your stuff anymore. So
Mm.
I just put a new book out, and while it did okay, some of the stuff I post is just not it's not getting engagement, and I see people constantly complaining about that with their
Yeah.
own stuff.
Yeah. Would you have to ask, do audiobooks count as reading? That's what you have to ask. Or
Yeah,
what's your favorite lunch, or what's your favorite topping on ice cream? Or it's really dumb.
I
This needs to
yeah
get
I
in
do.
interaction.
Yeah, pineapple and pizza or no? Yeah,
Yeah.
that always gets a rise. Um, I do stuff like that. Yeah, get people engaged, and because again, it's like, oh, I want to give my 2 cents. I'll answer that. So
Yeah.
it's like clickbait.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's funny the way it changed, the way the algorithm and how it works changes so often. It's interesting.
Carl is right. Two different entities. That's a good way to look at it because while I didn't hate The Shining, the book, um, uh, the it wasn't fair because I had already seen the movie a handful
Mm,
of times before I ever read the book, which usually ruins a book for me.
yeah.
So I kind of went into a bias, but yeah, two different entities. They're completely two different things.
Yeah.
Even though the movie is way better.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll have to set something up for another film. But thanks so much for recommending Come True. I loved it, and looking
Thank
forward to
you.
the next one.
Great man.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks everyone for coming by, and we'll talk to everyone soon.